Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It's Thursday, it's 9 o'clock, which means it's time for a Magic Stuff. And on today's video, I'm going to be doing something that I've been asked for a lot. I'm going to be talking about Mem Deck Magic. I'm going to be talking about why you should learn a Mem Deck, how to learn a Mem Deck, and the different routines that you can actually use with Mem Deck Magic. So if you've ever thought about memorizing a pack of cards, this is absolutely a video that you want to pay attention to. So I suppose the first question we need to ask ourselves is, why should you memorize a deck of cards? Because let's be honest, it's going to take you time and it's going to take you effort. It's not something that you can do immediately. So why should somebody who's been into Magic for a while learn to memorize a deck of cards? Why is that important? Well, the reason it's important is because it allows you to do so many routines that you couldn't do without actually memorizing a deck of cards. And let's get the common misconception out the way straight away. The common misconception with Mem Deck Magic is that you can basically only use it to do the sort of thing that you could use a Cy Stebbins deck with. So let me give you an example. A lot of people, this is set up in Juan Tamaritz's order, mnemonica, which we'll get into a little bit later on, but a lot of people think that the main thing, the only thing that you can really do with a memorized deck is have someone pick a card, look at the bottom card, I know that's a 10, so I know that's the 11th card, which is the Queen of Hearts. Boom. That's what most people think that you use a Mem Deck for. And if that's all you were going to use a Mem Deck for, you could use a Cy Stebbins deck for that, and you wouldn't need to memorize it. There is so much more that you can actually do with a memorized deck of cards. Now, to be clear, when I talk about memorizing a deck of cards, you have to have instant recall. So in other words, if somebody said 30, I need to immediately know that's the five of clubs. If somebody said 35, I need to know that's the King of Hearts. If somebody said 20, I need to know it's the Jack of Hearts. It has to be that quick, and it has to work both ways. So for example, if somebody said 18, I know that's the King of Clubs. If somebody said number 1, that's the 4 of clubs. If somebody said I don't know, 21, I know that's the 3 of spades. It has to be that instant of a recall. And that's why it's not an easy thing to do. It's not that hard to memorize a deck of cards, but to have that instant recall, it does take time and effort. I'm going to be talking to you in this video about how to do that and the process that you can do that, you can do with that. But let me explain that if you can get instant recall with a memorized deck of cards, if you can instantly recall cards and numbers that quickly, the amount of effects that you can do is just ridiculous. And throughout this video, I'm going to be showing you some of the things that you can actually do once you have memorized the deck of cards. But what I want to do first of all is show you an example of how you can jazz with a memorized deck. Now, for those of you that haven't heard of the term jazzing, it basically just means making it up as you go. And once you have a memorized deck of cards, you can jazz with a deck of cards. You can make it up as you go, and this is a concept that Juan Tamaritz came up with in his book Mnemonica. This is something that I've seen a lot of great Mem Deck users, people like Tom Crosby, have done this to great effect. But it's basically not having a plan. Somebody names a card, and you kind of find the card in a very unique, different way. Now, I sat down with Reagan earlier on. Reagan is the assistant in my illusion show. She also works in my office. I asked her to come in and help me with this video. I sat down with Reagan earlier on, and I did some jazzing with a Mem Deck, so you can see the sort of thing that you can achieve once you understand the Mem Deck, and once you have memorized the Mem Deck and you have instant recall. It's an example of the sort of stuff that you can do with it. So have a look at this video. This is me jazzing with a Mem Deck with Reagan. I'm going to show you something with this pack of cards. Yeah. What I want you to do, and it's a free choice, can you name a card for me? Any card that you want.
King of Hearts.
King of Hearts. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to cut just over half the deck. So cut about, just over half. It's up to you exactly where, but cut about half. That's cool? Yeah?
Yeah.
Are you happy with that cut?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what was the card that you named?
King of Hearts.
King of Hearts. So if I just take the cards where you cut, and I just spell out H-E-A-R-T, because hearts, that would be the King of Hearts right there. That was the card that you wanted, right? I don't know, right? It's weird, really, isn't it? Let's try this again, because maybe that was a fluke. Reagan, name a card, different card. Totally up to you.
6 of Spades.
Are you sure you want the 6 of Spades?
Yeah.
You know what's interesting? if I just do this, watch, all of the cards are quite vain. So 6 of spades, yeah?
Yeah.
If I go S, I, X, O, F, S, P, A, D, E, S. I go for the 6 of spades. And then what card did you wanted the 6 of spades, yeah?
Yeah.
If this was the 6 of spades, would that be good?
Pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, it's not. It's the 3 of diamonds. I mean, that would be great. I'm not that good. I'm genuinely not that good. Unless I do this. If I do this and take that I can turn it into the 6 of spades. That's,
What the hell?
well, do you want to know how, it's only an illusion. It's not really the 6 of spades. It's the 3 of diamonds. It's not really it's an illusion. Let's try it one last time. Name one last card for me there, Reagan.
3 of clubs.
3 of clubs. That's an interesting card. You know why that's an interesting card? Look, if I go 1, 2, 3 and snap my fingers, it's the 3 of clubs. I mean, that's the most interesting card in the pack because, you know, you just literally... You try it. Name a different card.
6 of diamonds.
The 6 of diamonds. That's a cool... Well, you try it yourself. Right. Okay. Take the cards.
I don't want to.
No, just pick the cards up. I don't want to touch them. Take the cards. Now, do you remember what I did? You wanted the 6 of diamonds, yeah? So snap your fingers and count 6 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you wanted the 6 of diamonds, yeah? Well done. Good job. So you can see the sort of thing that you're able to do with a mem deck. You know, literally, somebody names a card, and as long as you know where the card is in the deck, and as long as you know every other card, it allows you to very, very easily go in a different direction. So, for example, if somebody said 20, and they cut the cards like this, I can look at that card and I can see that's the 26th card. So I know, because that's the 26th card, I know the Jack of Hearts, which is 20, is 6 cards away. Boom, there it is. Okay, so somebody can name a card and I can instantly be able to find it one way or another. That's an example of what you can do with a mem deck that you cannot do in any other way. However, there's lots of routines and lots of concepts that you can use a mem deck for that you couldn't do with a normal pack of cards. No matter how much practice or how amazing you are at sleight of hand, there's things that you can do with a mem deck that you could never do with sleight of hand. I'm going to give you an example right now. I performed for Reagan earlier on a routine out of Pitt Hartling's book. Now, Pitt Hartling is an amazing magician. I'm sure a lot of you have seen him. However, he is a master of the mem deck. His book, Order to Amaze, is like the Bible of mem deck magic. And he has a routine in his book, which I'm performing on Reagan right here. I'm actually using the script from a Matt Baker routine. And again, Matt Baker is an amazing magician. We'll get to him a little bit later on. Another person who's brilliant at the mem deck. But I'm using a Matt Baker presentation for a Pitt Hartling routine. I want to have a look at this because it shows you the sort of thing that you can do with a mem deck, and it hopefully will show you that mem deck magic isn't just about name a card, name a number, oh look, here's the card. There's so much more you can do. Estimation in this example is so strong. Being able to estimate a cut in a very clear way just blows people's minds. So watch this video and you'll see exactly what I mean. Reagan, you asked me off camera how that last trick was done, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you how every magic trick in the entire history of the world is done. Well, I'm not going to tell you how it's done, but I'll tell you how you can learn. You see, you have to go to a place called Card College.
Okay.
And you go to Card College after you've gone to card school. And when you go to Card College, there's 3 things you have to learn. When you've learnt the 3 things, then and only then do you become a card master, okay? And I'll even tell you the 3 things that you need to learn, okay? Now, the first thing that you have to learn when you're at Card College is something called estimation. Okay, let me show you what estimation looks like. Just cut some cards into my hand. You happy with that?
Yeah.
All I have to do is weigh them, and I'm going to tell you right now there are exactly 19 cards there. Hold them, deal them onto the table, dealing them face up for each card. Let's see if I was right. Let's deal them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. See, I told you, you have to do that every single time, and then you pass part 1. Now, part 2, and I can see you're annoyed. Part 2 is a lot more difficult. Part 2 is you have to cut to a specific amount of cards. So let's say I said 15, for example. I would cut and I would get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 cards. Now the problem with that is that I said the number. I said 15, so maybe you think I was cheating. So what we'll do it again. We'll create a random number. Cut less than half the cards for me, and cut them into my hand. Okay, is that less than half the card? I don't know, we'll try. I'm going to try and match that. So I'm going to cut in just the right place, about there. That's it. Now I'm going to tell you I cut exactly the same amount of cards as you did. And I'll tell you there's 20 cards in each packet. Pick up your cards, hold them as if you're about to deal them, and you're going to do the same thing as before. I'll count. As I count, you count. As I deal, you deal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Now that's just, now you just look well annoyed. When you can do that every single time, then you pass part 2 of Card College. At this point, you've got your masters, but you still need to get like your PhD type of thing, and that's very difficult because the last part is the hardest part, and very few people can do this, which is why very few people make it through Card College. And the last thing that you need to do is you need to predict how many cards somebody would cut before they actually cut it. Now the problem with this is I could turn around to you and say, you're going to cut 20 cards, and then you could purposefully cut a small packet off to prove that I'm wrong. Yeah. So we're going to do this, not that you do that, I know you're nice, but we're going to, no, maybe you're nice. We're going to try and do something. I'm going to take 3 cards out the pack, all right? Yeah. I'm looking for 3 cards in particular. 1 is missing, there we go. And these 3 cards, I'll tell you right now, these 3 cards, when you add the total of these 3 cards up, so if you add up all of the values, and the total of these 3 cards is going to be the amount of cards that you're going to cut. So I want you to cut some cards. It can be half the cards, slightly more, slightly less, a lot less. It's up to you. But a lot more, you can cut there. Are you sure? Yeah. And again, let me see how you've done.
Oh my goodness.
Interesting. Interesting. Now have a look here. I couldn't have possibly have known, could I? I couldn't have possibly known where you were going to cut. No. Is that fair?
That's fair, yeah.
There's no way. And you cut right there to that amount of cards, yeah? Yeah. Now, before we count these, I put 3 cards down here. Do you remember?
I do.
And I told you that these 3 cards were going to add up to the total that you cut there. So let's just have a look at these 3 cards. I put a 9. I put an ace down as well. Now, an ace can be 1 or 11. Yeah. It's a 1 in this case. Okay. And I put an 8. So math question, 9 plus 1 plus 8.
17.
Close, try again. 9 plus 1 is 10, plus 8 is...
18.
Boom, you got it. And it's real blonde hair. Right, take the cards, and you're going to deal them just like you did before the last 2 times. Turn them over and count how many there are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 cards.
How is that possible?
Well, that's why I passed Card College. So hopefully now I've convinced you that learning a mem deck is a really useful thing to do. So if I've now convinced you, the next question is, how do you memorize a deck of cards? How do you memorize a deck of cards? Well, first of all, you need to pick your stack. You need to decide which stack that you're going to learn. I learned mnemonica, which is Quantum Ritz's stack. It's probably the most well-known stack. Each individual stack has certain applications and features built into it. So with mnemonica, there's a few different features that are built into it that are really nice. A lot of gambling routines. If you buy mnemonica, the book, you'll get access to hundreds of tricks that you can do that are stack dependent. Simon Aronson has an amazing stack that a lot of people use as well. But to be honest, it doesn't really matter which stack you use. You know, Tom Crosby has a stack called the Shadow Stack. You could literally just take a regular pack of cards, shuffle it, and just learn that stack. Now, that wouldn't be the best way to do it because the different stacks have different features. My advice would be to have a look at the individual stacks, look at what features are built into it, and then decide which stack has the features built into it that you feel are the most useful features for you as a performer. Now, I'll be honest with you, I tend to not use any stack dependent features at all. So there's nothing that I do with a mem deck that you can't do with every other mem deck. But it's worth looking into that from a due diligence point of view. So once you've learned, or once you've decided which stack you want to go for, then you want to learn the actual stack. Now, to be clear here, you have to understand the difference between short-term memory and long-term memory. Now, you have to have this mem deck put into your long-term memory. So even if I don't use the mem deck for like a 2-week period or 3-week period or a month, I still know the stack inside out and back to front. And in order to do that, it has to be in my long-term memory. Here's the mistake that a lot of people make when they're learning a stack. What a lot of people do is they will brute force learn it, which is no problem with that, but they'll brute force learn it. And then they'll play around with the stack for a few days, and they'll play around with the stack for maybe a few weeks. And then they'll go through a period where they don't use it. And then when they go to use it, they're struggling to remember the position of a card, or so they kind of put it to one side and they don't use it for another couple of weeks. And before you know it, they don't know the stack anymore. And that was me. When I first learnt my first stack, it was Tom Crosby's stack, the Shadow stack. And I used it, I got it into my short-term memory. I used it for a little while, and then I put it to one side. I kind of did some other routines. I went out gigging with other stuff. When I went back to the Shadow stack a few weeks later, I couldn't remember it. And then I had to start right from the very beginning. And it took me 2 or 3 years till I got to a point where I was actually, I decided to relearn a stack. And that's when I went to Juan Tamaritz's stack, the Monica stack. So the important thing to understand is it has to go into your long-term memory. And that will take time. And it will take daily practice to get it into your long-term memory. Now, a lot of you guys on this channel know Ryland. Ryland is my son, obviously, and Ryland learnt to a memorised deck of cards, and this all came about at the beginning of lockdown. Back in March, he said to me, "Dad, I really want to learn a mem deck. Can you teach me a mem deck?" And I was like, "Well, I can do, but it's going to be a difficult thing to do." And he's like, "No, I promise you, I'll get it." Now, he learnt the actual mem deck in a week. So, and using the system that I'm going to teach you, which is a very similar system to how most people memorise a deck of cards, he got it down in a week, but then he worked with it every single day, day in, day out, until it ended up in his long-term memory. And now it is in his long-term memory. Now, before I explain how you're actually going to go and do that, let me show you another routine right now and just give you another reason why you should actually learn how to actually learn a mem deck. So this routine I'm about to show you right now, it's a Matt Baker routine. Now, Matt Baker wrote a book called The Buena Vista Shuffle Club, which me and Ryland actually reviewed on the show a little while ago on our review show. And this is one of my favorite routines out of the book. It's a wonderful, I love the hook line of this. You know, we're going to do a 2-person act. You're going to read minds. I'm going to predict the future. It's really, really nice. And it's a very commercial routine. All the routines that I'm showing you, by the way, they don't demolish the stack. And one of the reasons that a lot of people decide not to actually memorize a deck of cards is because they kind of worry about, oh, but doesn't the memorized deck destroy the stack? Well, there are certain routines that can destroy a stack, but I don't really do any of those. For me, as somebody who goes out and gigs and needs an instant reset, I just focus on routines that don't demolish the stack, and everything's kept intact. So the routine I showed you earlier, the Pitt Hartling routine, that keeps the stack in the exact same order. This routine that you're about to see right now from Matt Baker, that also keeps the stack in the same order. So let's have a look at this right now, because it's such a great trick. Now, Reagan, obviously you and I are in a show together. You're the assistant that gets in the box, and I saw you in half, and we do all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
But I think we're gonna try and do something right now. We are going to form a 2-person act, you and me. And we're not going to do illusions or anything like that. We're going to change it up. And what we're going to do, you are going to predict the future, and I am going to read minds.
Cool.
Okay, that's what we're going to do. You're going to predict the future, I'm going to read minds. And you can start predicting the future right now, because if it's the future, you have to predict it before it even happens.
Yeah.
So when I snap my fingers, I'd like you to name a card.
King of Hearts.
We'll get back to that. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, what you're going to do, you're going to pick a card out of this deck.
Okay.
And it is really important that you're happy with the card. So I'm going to spread through. You're going to take a card and you're going to look at it. And if you're happy with that card, you're going to hold on to it.
Okay.
If you're not happy with it, you're going to put it back and you're going to grab a different card.
Okay.
When you're happy with the card that you want, you're going to put it in your pocket. Have you got a pocket you can put it in?
I have.
Cool. So you're going to put it in your pocket.
Yeah.
So we'll do that right now. So I'm going to spread through. Now, are you happy with that one, or do you want to go with a different one?
I'll put it back.
Okay. Which one do you want? You can go with a different one. Do you want me to spread this way or this way, or? Are you happy?
Yeah.
Show the camera, don't show me. And then put it somewhere in your pocket so I can't get to it. Okay?
Yeah.
And now I need to pick a card.
Okay.
But if I just picked a card, you'd know that I was cheating.
Yeah.
So you touch a card for me.
This one.
That one right there?
Yeah.
That's the one I get. I'm allowed to look at it. You're not. Okay. Perfect. So I said I was going to read minds.
Yeah.
And you are going to predict the future.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
So I'm going to read your mind right now. Concentrate on your card. Concentrate on your card. Make your mind blank. That's very good. And I want you to imagine that there's a card floating in the air in front of you. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
Cool. It's a red card, isn't it?
It is.
It's a heart.
It is.
Is it the 10 of hearts?
It is.
Take it out and show everyone.
What the hell?
But do you remember that before we did this, I said you were going to predict the future?
Yeah.
And you picked a card for me, which I put in my pocket right here.
Yeah.
And do you remember at the very beginning which card you predicted?
King of Hearts. What the hell, Craig?
It's not me, it's you. You're the one predicting the future.
No, it's not.
So you can see how awesome that routine is. I mean, it really is an amazing trick, and it's something that I do an awful lot. So let's get back to memorizing the deck of cards. Here we go. The way that I taught Ryland, and the way that a lot of people do this, is to take a pack of cards. Okay, this is set up in Mem deck order. Take a pack of cards and set it up in the stack that you want to use. And then on day one, what you want to do is well, first of all, you want to write on the back of the cards numbers from 1 to 52. Okay, so you want to write on the back of the card. So on this one, the first card, you're going to write number 1. On this card, the second card, you're going to write 2 of hearts. So you're going to write 1 to 52. Then you're going to take the cards, and on day 1, you're going to take the first 5 cards. Okay? And all you're going to do is you're going to look at them, and you're going to keep testing yourself until you feel like you've got it. So you're going to go, right, 1 is the 4 of clubs, 2 is the 2 of hearts, 3 is the 7 of diamonds, 4 is the 3 of clubs, 5 is the 4 of hearts. And then what you're going to do is you're going to shuffle them up. Okay, and you're going to test yourself. So you're going to go. So you're going to go 1. Okay, so that's the. So you're going 4 of clubs. That's 1. 2 of hearts. That's 2. 3 of clubs. That's 4. 7 of diamonds. That's 3. 4 of hearts. That's 5. And you're going to keep doing it until you've got it absolutely perfect. Okay, so you're going to keep doing that until you got absolutely perfect. Then you're going to do the same thing on the back. So let's say this had a 5 on it. You go 5. That's 4 of hearts, because you want to learn it both ways. And then throughout the day, you're going to keep these 5 cards on you, and you're just going to keep practicing over and over again. It's the sort of thing that you can do when you're out and about. You know, you just have the 5 cards with you, and you just do it out and about. When you're sitting down watching TV, you just do it all the time. Okay, keep testing yourself, keep testing yourself. Once you've done that, you then go on to day 2. And on day 2, you take the next 5 cards. So you take another 5 cards and you do the same thing again. So you just test yourself with these 5 cards. And you don't worry about those cards. So forget about those cards. Day 2, you're just doing this. So you're doing exactly the same process with cards number 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Then, when you've done that, on day 3, you take all 10 cards and you mix them up. And you spend the entire day rehearsing with all 10 cards. So you'd mix them up and you go, okay, that's 10, that's 6, that's 3, that's 9, that's 8, that's 7, that's 5, that's 4, that's 2, that's 1. And then you do it again, you'll do it again, and you hold them face down, and you do it face down, and you spend the entire day, and if you make a mistake, you start again, and you start again. So at the end of day 3, you should have the first 10 cards down. Then on day 4, you take cards 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. And you do the same thing. You just focus on those 5 cards. And you just focus on them, focus on them, focus on them, until you've got that perfect. Then on the next day, you do all 15. And you can see the pattern going on here. And you do that throughout every single day you're building up a bit more and a bit more and a bit more and a bit more until you get yourself into a situation where you know the whole pack of cards. And it'll take you about 2 weeks. It'll take you about 2 weeks, maybe a week, 2 weeks, depending. But once you're there, you should have instant recall on all 52 cards. Now, the important thing, and the mistake that people make, the important thing is you must be able to know both ways, and that's really important. So you must be able to look at the face and immediately tell the number, so that's 10. But I should be able to look at the back, and let's say this is a 6, I immediately know it's the 6 of diamonds. Some people learn it one way, and it's not good learning it one way. You want to learn it both ways. In order to be able to do what you can do with a mem deck, you need to learn it both ways. Okay? So that's how you learn the mem deck. That's how you get into your short-term memory. And the big piece of advice I can give you on this is don't give up. You know, start researching tricks with a mem deck and think about all of these wonderful routines that you're going to be able to perform when you've learned it. Okay? So don't give up. That's the key thing I can tell you. Don't give up. Now, how to get it into your long-term memory. Well, before we talk about how to get into your long-term memory, let's look at my favorite opener. This is called the Luck Test by Darwin Ortiz. And this is my favorite opener with a mem deck because it's really quick, it's really baffling, and it blows people away. And it keeps the deck in exactly the same order. It's an instant reset, but it is such a strong routine. So let's have a look at the Luck Test by Darwin Ortiz right now. So Reagan, we're going to do something with a pack of cards. Okay?
Yeah.
52 cards, they're all there, they're all different. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Cool. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Do you consider yourself lucky?
Not really, no.
Oh, really? Okay, fair enough. Well, we're gonna do a luck test just to see how lucky you are, okay?
Okay.
When I snap my fingers, I want you to name a card. There's 52 cards in the pack. Name anyone you want to. Do that right now.
10 of hearts.
Now, do you want to change your mind? Are you happy with 10 of hearts?
I'm happy.
Cool. I'm going to cut the deck, and I'm going to take the card I cut to, the Jack of Diamonds. Are you happy with that one?
Yeah.
You know what? Actually, let's go nuts. No, we'll take the Jack of Diamonds. We'll take the Jack of Diamonds. That's fine. That's fine. Now, here's what you can do. You can take the Jack of Diamonds,
Okay.
and you're going to push it somewhere into the pack, face up. It can go anywhere in the middle that you want to. It's your choice, but put it face up somewhere into the middle. And we'll square it up because neatness counts. I know it's up to you. You could have put that anywhere you wanted to, right?
Yeah.
I don't suppose you saw where you put it. It was about there, right?
Yeah.
We'll leave it sticking out. Now you put it next to 2 cards.
Okay.
You put it next to this card, the 6 of diamonds, but you put it next to this card right here. Now you named a card at the very beginning, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
And what was the card you named again?
10 of hearts.
And you put that anywhere you wanted to, didn't you?
Yeah.
You put it right next to that card.
Yeah.
This is going to decide whether you're lucky or not. Turn it over. See, I reckon you are lucky. I reckon you are lucky. Absolutely lucky.
The fluke.
Isn't that a great trick? It's an amazing opener. It keeps the deck in exactly the same order. Absolutely perfect. It really is. So you've got the deck in short-term memory. How do you get it from short-term memory into long-term memory? My advice would be to just work with it every single day. Don't skip a day. Work with it every single day. Now, I interviewed Matt Baker on this channel recently, and Matt Baker, as I said, is an amazing magician when it comes to mem deck magic. He's absolutely amazing. And his advice to me was, you want to try and find times throughout the day where you can recite the stack to yourself in your head. And he gave an example of being in a swimming pool. Matt likes swimming, and he swims every single day. And when you're swimming, you're kind of alone with your thoughts. You've got nothing else that you can think of other than your swimming. So what he does is when he's swimming, and he does about 50 lengths a day, he recites the stack. First of all, he recites it going forward, then he recites it going back. So he'll go 1, 4 of clubs, 2, 2 of hearts, 3, 7 of diamonds, and then he'll do it in reverse, and he'll go, okay, so 52 is the 9 of diamonds, 51 is the ace of hearts, 50 is the 6 of clubs, and so on and so forth. And he recites it back and forth. And then he'll work out, he'll say, okay, so he'll go Jack of hearts, 20, and he'll go, okay, so what's 15 cards on from there? It's 35. 35 is the King of Hearts, and so on and so forth. And he just makes sure that he recites it every single day. And I think that is brilliant advice. The other advice that I would say is just have your mem deck with you, your practice mem deck, the one with the numbers on it. Have your practice mem deck with you, and just constantly be looking at that mem deck, constantly, have it in your pocket. And once you've memorized the whole deck, just give the deck a cut and go, okay, so what have we got? We got the 5 of diamonds, that's 25. We got the 6 of spades, that's 15. We got the ace of spades, that's 7. And don't have it in any sort of order. Constantly be shuffling, then turn it over and go 20, Jack of Hearts, whatever it may be. So you're constantly just practicing. And the other thing that you can do is on your phone, there's lots of apps to help you get better at mem decks. There's lots and lots of apps. If you just search Mnemonica or Memorized decks on the App Store, there's lots of apps that you can do that are kind of built like games, where they flash up cards and you have to kind of say what position the card is. And, there's lots of, and they go backwards and forwards. So get yourself an app on your phone as well. So even if you haven't got a pack of cards on you, you can practice it. But the key thing is, you want to be doing this every single day. It baffles me. It absolutely baffles me the amount of magicians that are more than happy to spend 6 months working on a sleight that does the same thing as 15 other sleights that they learn. I'm going to learn this invisible control. Why? So I can control the card invisibly. Well, don't you already do that with this pass and this pass and this pass? And even if you didn't know a pass, can't you just do it with a double undercut? They spend hours and hours and hours learning these sleights, when if they just spent a bit of time and effort on the mem deck, they could be in a situation where they can do some incredible magic. And it doesn't require any sleight of hand. It baffles me the amount of magicians that don't do that. So my advice would be to get it into your short-term memory, and then 2, recite it every single day until it's in your long-term memory. Okay, let's look at one last routine. Again, this is a Pitt Hartling routine because I'm a big Pitt Hartling fan. Let's look at one last Pitt Hartling routine. This is an example of how you can do totally different types of routines with a mem deck. This is kind of a one-ahead type thing. It's a one-ahead principle with a mem deck. But it creates a really cool coincidence style trick. So have a look at this right now. It should give you an example of some of the stuff that you can do with mem decks that's kind of a little bit different to the other stuff that you might have seen. So Reagan, you and I have worked together for quite a while now, in the office and also doing shows. Yeah. So we're going to see if you and me are in sync together. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a card out at random, and I'm going to pop it down on the table. We'll get back to it in a minute, okay? Yeah. Now I want you to touch any card that you want. It's completely up to you. If you want to, I'll do it like that, and you can just touch any one. This one. That one right there. Right there, yeah? Are you happy with that card? Yeah. You're not going to look at it. We're just going to put it over here with mine. Okay? Now, we're going to try and do this again. Here's what we're going to do. Let me see if I can do this. I'm going to take another card out. I'm going to take this one. Yeah, I'll take this one. I'm going to put another card down there. Okay? Okay. And I want you to do the same thing. You're going to touch any card that you want. This one. And I want you to remember that I'm putting that one there, yeah? Yeah. I'm putting my cards down before you're putting your cards down. Yeah. Yeah? Is that fair? That's fair, yeah. Yeah. I'm going to take one last one, which is this one right there. I'm going to put this one here. And you, again, you can do it that way. Just touch a card. That one right there? Yeah. There. So each time, I put a card down before you put a card down. Yeah. And you had a completely free choice. Mm-hmm. There's no way I could have influenced you in any way. No. So the first card I put down was the 4 of clubs. And you put down the 4 of spades, which matches colour and value. Then I put down the 10 of spades. What? And you put down the 10 of clubs. And then finally, I put down the 2 of spades, and you put down the 2 of clubs. And that is why you and I are so much in sync. So one more thing I want to tell you is how I actually use a mem deck. So when I'm out gigging, I take a mem deck with me to every single gig. And what I do is I take a mem deck and I take a regular deck of cards as well. So I have a mem deck and I have a regular deck of cards. And I do a lot of routines where I might use both at the same time, but having both, it allows me options. So I can do a trick with a regular deck where I don't mind having the cards destroyed and signed and so on and so forth. And then I've got my mem deck. And if, let's go worst case scenario right now. Worst case scenario, if the entire deck is destroyed and I drop the cards on the floor or a spectator shuffles the deck, it's not a problem. I'm left with a regular deck of cards. Now, there are ways of actually taking a deck in a regular, regular deck of cards and stacking it in front of an audience. Pete Turner has got an amazing way of taking a regular pack of cards and having it stacked in front of the audience in a very entertaining and engaging way. And it really is a very clever way of doing that. So yeah, you look at it as the worst case scenario. What's the worst case scenario? Well, the worst case scenario is the deck's wrecked. Well, it doesn't matter because you can restack it in front of the audience. Or if you don't want to do that, you just got a regular deck that you carry around with you. But the ability to be able to use a mem deck and ring it in and out during the course of a routine gives you so many options as a performer. And honestly, hand on heart, I can tell you right now, there is no better thing that you can do than learn how to memorize a deck of cards. So there you go. To sum up, 1, pick a stack. Do a bit of research and pick a stack. If you want to pick one with some features, make sure the features fit you as a performer. 2, start memorizing the deck. Don't put off to tomorrow what you can do today. You want to start doing this immediately. The longer you put it off, the longer it's going to take. Start learning it today. Number 3, commit it to long-term memory. And number 4, make sure you're working with your mem deck every single day. Even the masters of magic, Juan Tamariz, Michael Close, you know, the people that we, Matt Baker, Pitt Hartling, the people that we consider to be the masters of the mem deck, Assy Wynn, people like that, they're still using the mem deck every single day. They still have to just continue to make sure that they're doing it every single day, even if it's just a case of thinking about it while they're doing other stuff. So make sure that you're constantly, because what you don't want to do is what I did and forget your mem deck and then start from scratch. So make sure you're working with it every single day and then do some research into some of the routines that are out there. I've highlighted some of the different routines with a mem deck that you can do in this video, but there are so many other videos there's so many other routines that you can do as well. In fact, if you guys are interested, I can do a follow-up video and I can highlight maybe the best 5 mem deck tricks that you can do with a deck, a memorized deck of cards. If you want to see that, let me know in the comments. Also, if you've got any questions in the comments, let me know. If there's particular things that you want to know about mem deck magic, let me know. And also down in the comments, let's get a dialogue going. Do you use the mem deck? How do you find it? How long did it take you to learn how to do it? If you haven't used the mem deck and you've been in magic for a while, why haven't you learned the mem deck? I'd be really interested to know. And guys, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We put 14 videos up every single week, so please subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be back tomorrow with a magic rant, and there'll be a magic live as well, and then over the weekend we've got an honest trainer and a Q&A. Thanks very much for watching. I'll catch you again soon. My name's Craig from Magic TV.